What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Absolutely a Gamble. My name is Abju Pierre, and I am your host, and welcome to Week 2. Week 1, I went 4 of 5, which put me at a whopping 80% success rate so far on the season, so hopefully I can keep that rolling into Week 2. With my first bet, I want to start off with Indianapolis Colts money line. We play the Houston Texans, and I know it's a divisional game. The line is set right now. I just checked it, and I think it's at Houston -1.5. I would take Indianapolis -1.5, but if you can get the Indianapolis money line at any type of plus money whatsoever, you should take it. I caught it at -102. It's pretty simple. Houston is missing a bunch of offensive linemen. Our D-line looked ferocious last week, and I think that they're going to take advantage of the Houston weakened offensive line. CJ Stroud might not play. If he plays, it's definitely going to work in our favor. If Davis Mills plays, it's probably going to be a closer game, but I do think we still end up on top anyway. So worst case scenario, we end up losing, but I'm willing to take that bet. Next bet we have is Kansas City Chiefs -3.5. The Kansas City Chiefs are going on the road to Jacksonville to play the Jaguars. And from what I saw from the Colts and Jaguars game from last week, I think that Chris Jones and the rest of that Kansas City D-line can feast on that Jacksonville O-line. They can get pressure on Trevor Lawrence. They can force a mistake or two. And Patrick Mahomes, coming off a loss, is insane. He is ridiculous. He's averaging like 308 yards per game after a loss, averaging about 3 touchdowns. And I know that they're going to want to redeem themselves from the performance that they had against the Lions. Travis Kelce is coming back too. So I think Travis Kelce anytime TD is good as well. I think that the wide receivers are going to step up for Patrick Mahomes. I think they're going to step up for Andy Reid. I think it's going to be just fireworks. And happy birthday, Patrick Mahomes. The next bet is Detroit -4.5. Detroit is playing Seattle this week, and Seattle just got manhandled by the Rams. And Seattle lost both their starting tackles, their right and their left tackle, and they just signed 41-year-old Jason Peters. So I think that the Lions will take advantage of the trenches, and they will bully the Seattle Seahawks up front, their offensive line, and then their defensive line will harass Geno Smith enough that Detroit will end up coming out with the win. I'm not sure if they'll be able to cover the 4.5, but if I believe that Detroit is the team that I think they are, I think that they'll cover this 4.5 very, very easily. Next bet is San Francisco 49ers -7.5. Some places had it at 7. I got mine at 7.5 on DraftKings. The reason is simple. The 49ers are 8-0 against McVay in the last 8 meetings that they played. So McVay has not had any luck against Shanahan the same way that last week McVay beat Pete Carroll, because McVay is like 5-2 against Pete Carroll straight up. So I think that those matchups, they matter a lot. The Niners own the Rams, and I don't think that the Rams are as good as the product that they put on the field last week. I think that this Niners defense is going to be too much for them. It's going to overwhelm them, especially if Puka Nacua doesn't play. That'll make it a little bit harder for them to move the ball. And I think the Niners are going to move the ball against this defense at ease. I also have a Christian McCaffrey anytime touchdown too. Christian McCaffrey scores in nearly every single game that he plays in. For my last bet, I am dipping back into the Bengals well. And the last prop is T. Higgins over 60.5 receiving yards. This number has gone up little by little. It started off at 56, then it went to 58, then it went to 59.5, and now it's at 60.5. But I'm still taking it anyway. Last week, in a ugly game, I definitely forgot to check the weather. If I would have known that it was going to be a rainy game, then I would have picked some unders, and maybe I would have picked a prop. Maybe I would have picked Joe Burrow under 1.5 touchdowns instead of over. But T. Higgins still managed to get 8 targets that game, and had 0, 0, and 0. Don't be surprised if T. Higgins explodes on this very weak Baltimore Ravens secondary and adds a touchdown on top of that. Thank you very much for watching. Like, share, subscribe, and hopefully all 5 of these bets hit, or I get another 4 out of 5 so we can keep this whole thing rolling. Have a blessed day. Be kind always, and give someone a compliment today.